Tonight, blistering heat from coast to coast. 2/3 of Americans facing temperatures above 90 degrees. More than 100 million under heat alerts from California to New York. Cities in Texas shattering record highs with triple-digit heat as officials worry the state's energy grid can't handle the increased demand. Dylan Dreyer is here with when this heat wave might break. Prime time showdown. 2 former White House staffers set to testify tomorrow night about what happened inside the West Wing on January 6th. This, as a Secret Service official says, the agency was asked to preserve records before the Capitol riot, and new questions swirl about those deleted messages. Back in court, disgraced South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh pleading not guilty to murdering his wife and son. The charges, the most serious yet for the disbarred attorney, as he faces what prosecutors call a mountain of evidence of his wrongdoing, including video that could place him at the scene. Sesame Place SNUB, a black family speaking out after a now viral video appears to show a character at the theme park ignoring their young girls. The woman alleging it was intentionally racist. How the company is responding and what the family is calling for them to do now. Gone without a trace. A family from Maine disappears. Authorities desperately searching for the parents and their toddler. Last captured on surveillance video at Walmart earlier this month. Why the woman's family says they're worried she's in danger. And farewell to Ivana. President Trump mourning his ex-wife during her funeral today. How the New York City icon is being remembered. Top story starts right now. Good evening. I'm Savannah Sellers in for Tom Llamas. We begin Top Story again tonight with this relentless heat wave. Virtually no corner of this country has been spared from its brutal impact. Cities coast to coast are blanketed with record-breaking heat. In Texas, those high temperatures, along with dry conditions, are fueling dangerous wildfires. One of those, the Chalk Mountain Fire outside of Fort Worth, is just 10% contained. And sweltering temperatures outside are, of course, driving people indoors, which in turn is driving energy consumption through the roof. The major question remains, will Texas's outdated equipment be able to keep up with the surge? Here on the East Coast, New York City is bracing for its longest heat wave in a decade. City officials are extending hours for public pools and urging residents to stay inside. So when will all of this come to an end? Dylan Dreyer is standing by with your full forecast, but we begin with NBC's Sam Brock, who leads us off from Texas tonight.
The blistering heat wave blanketing the U.S. continues to crank out record temperatures.
Terribly hot. I mean, I can't handle it.
2 out of every 3 Americans experiencing heat above 90 degrees. Some cities setting new daily highs. Dallas at 109, Albuquerque at 102, and Wichita Falls, Texas, a whopping 115. While Americans try anything to weather the onslaught, tonight, unrelenting heat in Texas is testing the state's energy consumption, which is expected to swell to levels never seen before, using equipment that in some cases dates back half a century.
These are not designed to run full out year-round. Everybody built these for August and September. Everyone in Texas knows that's when it gets really hot.
The record usage here, even more stark when stacked up to other large states. Texas at 80,000 megawatts, at least doubling New York's projected summer peak and California's current usage. Power generation is keeping up right now with near record temperatures. Right now there's about 4 or 5% extra capacity, but just last week the available levels dipped low enough, Texans were asked to conserve. Today, ERCOT, the air traffic controller for the state's power flow, says that strategy worked.
I am always worried that the system can be overtaxed. That's why I prepared. So on both Monday and Wednesday of last week, the conservation efforts of every Texan prevented us from going into emergency.
Texans are counting on that help and reliability, but still struggling to keep up with costs. 83-year-old Eva Kupar in Houston has seen her energy bill spike up nearly 200%.
Well, I run fans. We don't even run the AC because it's just too expensive.
Nationally, household electric bills are expected to jump about 20% to an average of $540 for the summer as the country confronts an outdated system. Is this a Texas problem or is it a national problem?
Our grid problem is a national problem, not just Texas and California. Texas and California have gotten there first.
Families hoping that it's addressed soon with so much on the line.
Sam Brock joins us now from Dallas. Sam, you walked us through the numbers there, but beyond this current heat wave, why does it seem Texas consumes so much more energy than everyone else?
So Texas has 30 million people, Savannah. That's a lot. I know you have some California roots in it. California, for example, has 40 million. But what's the difference? Texas, in addition to having some of the hottest temperatures in the country, also has a massive industrial footprint. I'm talking petrochemicals and refineries that drain so much energy. Those two things together put Texas at the top of the list. Plus, you are seeing migration from Texas, I should say from California, New York, and other states to Texas. The population is going up. The energy production hasn't quite kept up with it. Savannah?
Thank you, Sam Brock. And for more on this sweltering summer, let's go to NBC News meteorologist Dylan Dreyer. Dylan, as we head into the week, any relief in sight?
Unfortunately, no. The heat's expanding and it's continuing. And you can see it stretches from California all the way to the East Coast. 120 million people impacted under some sort of heat advisory or heat warning. Take a look at what we're expecting going through the weekend. All of these red dots indicate areas where we could see records or near records this weekend. So several cities are expected to break records, and it's all about that heat index. It's going to feel like it's 103 to almost 110 degrees tomorrow in the Northeast. We're looking for a heat index of 103 in New York, 105 in Washington, D.C., Raleigh, 106. The heat is going to continue into the weekend and into the start of next week as well. So as we look into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, St. Louis stays up around 100 degrees. When you factor in the humidity, it'll feel like it's around 105 to 110. Cincinnati stays in the low to mid 90s. New York in the mid 90s. Washington, D.C. keeps getting hotter and should hit 100 degrees by the time we get to Sunday. So now let's go into next week, where we are still projecting warmer than average temperatures, especially in areas that have been hard hit already down through Oklahoma into Texas, into Arkansas, also along the East Coast and out west. We're looking for those warmer than average temperatures as well. Now, there is a little bit of a cool front. I don't want to call it a cold front because it's not really going to cool things down all that much, but it is enough to trigger a couple of thunderstorms back through Ohio right now. And we are going to see the threat of some stronger storms in that same general area through the night tonight. Now, tomorrow, the threat is going to move into the northeast and also split down into the southeast, too. We could see wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, large hail, but also an isolated tornado could spin up in the New England area. So that is the cold front that's moving through. It will drop humidity a bit for Friday, but again, it's not really going to do much for temperatures as they will stay hot going into next week. Savannah.
All right, so much going on across the country. Dylan, thank you. And moving now to Washington, where there's growing pressure on the Secret Service over those deleted text messages the January 6th committee is asking for. The committee is now suggesting the Secret Service may have broken the law. And of course, this is all ahead of the committee's next hearing in primetime tomorrow night. Kristen Welker joins us now. Kristen, what is the committee saying tonight?
Well, Savannah, this is really interesting, and it comes amid intensifying pressure on the Secret Service. The committee is saying the Secret Service may have violated the Federal Records Act. The committee's new criticism comes after receiving just one text message that they requested related to January 6th. Tonight, a senior Secret Service official tells NBC News employees received 2 emails reminding them to preserve records on their phones before they were, quote, restored to factory settings. It's a part of a planned reset. Now, a third email sent in February of last year specifically instructed them to preserve all communications from January 6th. But here's the thing, Savannah, it's just not clear if that was sent after the deletion had already happened. The Secret Service says, bottom line, nothing malicious occurred here. Meanwhile, tomorrow, the January 6th committee will be holding a primetime hearing describing all 187 minutes of the attack on the Capitol, what former President Trump did and what he didn't do. And we are going to hear from 2 former White House officials, Matt Pottinger and Sarah Matthews. They both resigned that day, Savannah, because they were so upset over what hadn't occurred within the West Wing. And we know that top officials were pressuring the former president to come out and to make a statement much sooner than he did, and a more robust statement, frankly, calling off the rioters. I can tell you, Savannah, I was at the White House that day. Sarah Matthews had tears in her eyes because she was so upset about what was happening. So this is going to be a dramatic and emotional hearing. Now, one more note here, the chairman, Benny Thompson, recently tested positive for COVID. He is still going to chair this hearing. He's going to do it remotely. Savannah.
Kristen Welker, thank you. And for more on that January 6th committee hearing tomorrow night that Kristen mentioned, let's bring in Axios reporter Elena Treen. Elena, after tomorrow's hearing, do you expect even more? How does this ultimately sort of come to an end here? And how does that 187 minutes that they're going to focus on tomorrow fit their greater goal here?
Well, really, the 187 minutes is to show Trump's inaction and how he really was the sole person that had the power to call off the mob and the rioters on January 6th, and he didn't intervene until much later. It's unclear whether there'll be another hearing. The committee tells me that they still are in the gathering process of their investigation. Even though they're starting to ramp down these hearings, they still have a lot of information that is coming in, but they do need to get out their final report, and they want to do that soon. They want to do that before the November midterm elections to see if that has an impact. And also, I think, the big question now is really, what does the Department of Justice do? And they've had all these hearings, and a lot of committee members have said that a huge goal of theirs was to sway public opinion. But the more tangible goal is really, will there be criminal charges brought against people who were tied to January 6th and potentially even the former president? And that's unclear. I think after tomorrow's hearing, we're going to have a lot of stories and reporting, and people turn their attention to what does the DOJ do. And Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, is going to have a really tough decision to make. And he's been keeping it very close to the vest so far. So I think we'll have to hear a lot more from them in the coming weeks and months.
And Elena, quickly before I let you go, I mean, the committee promised that these findings would be explosive. Representative Raskin's comment was even that they will blow the roof off the House. In your opinion, have they done that here?
I think they've done an incredible job. I think they've shown some incredible evidence and have had really forthcoming testimony from a lot of people that I don't think many in Trump world had expected would testify. I do think that a series of testimony was very damning. Cassidy Hutchinson, of course, hearing from Pat Cipollone, the former White House counsel, hearing from people who were in the Capitol, one of the rioters themselves. I think the committee has done a very good and detailed job of laying out exactly what happened and showing just how bad it was and how bad it was as well within the West Wing. I think the difficulty here, though, and the challenge that they had from the beginning was whose public opinion are you changing? Will Republicans, depart from their loyalty to Donald Trump? And really, so far, we haven't seen that happen. Republicans are holding firm in their support of the former president. And though I think some have maybe changed their minds, of course, you have two Republicans on the committee, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. Overall, I'm not sure that the hearings have had much sway with the former president's base. But I think that'll all really depend as we head into election season.
Elena Treen, thanks for joining us tonight. And staying in Washington, all eyes are now on the Senate after the House passed a bill enshrining legal rights for same-sex marriage. After the overturning of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court, Democrats are eager to ensure the decision that granted the right to gay marriage doesn't follow suit. Ali Vitale reports from the Capitol.
With court-given rights now in jeopardy, Democrats pushing to enshrine them into law.
We ought to reaffirm it before the court overthrows it.
Despite 7 years of precedent on same-sex marriage, new fears after the overturning of Roe that the Supreme Court could revisit its 2015 marriage decision, leading to momentum to ensure they can't.
Our country's history is that we expand rights, we don't go backwards.
Yeas are 267.
47 Republicans joined House Democrats Tuesday to enshrine the right into law. Now the Senate hoping to take up the cause.
I want to bring this bill to the floor, and we're working to get the necessary Senate Republican support to ensure it would pass.
A handful of Republicans signaling support.
This is an issue that many Americans, regardless of their political affiliation, feel has been resolved. So I think its time has come.
Public sentiment backs that up, broadly and among Republicans. But that support is far from widespread in Congress.
It's a pure messaging bill. I mean, it's obviously settled law right now.
Other Republicans echoing Justice Clarence Thomas, who wrote that decisions on gay marriage and right to contraception should be revisited.
Look, Obergefell, like Roe versus Wade, ignored 2 centuries of our nation's history. I think that decision was clearly wrong when it was decided.
Ali Vitale joins us now from Capitol Hill. Ali, it's clear Democrats are acting fast on this bill. Are we expecting a Senate vote before the August recess?
Well, look, some of them are hoping that that's exactly what happens. Some senators even saying that they want to move so quickly on this that they're willing to dip into that August recess, taking some days in order to do this vote. But the reality as it stands right now, Savannah, is we don't actually know how many Republican senators are actually on board for this bill. They always need that magic number of 60. This is, of course, no exception. Democrats at this point are just trying to figure out where the Republican count actually stands. I'm told this evening, for example, that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has touched base with the two leading sponsors of this bill this evening. So they are clearly trying to put a path forward here. But again, the numbers are a little bit up in the air, so it's hard to figure out the timeline at this point.
Ali Vitale on the Hill for us. Ali, thank you. Now, an NBC News exclusive interview with Ukraine's First Lady. Our Peter Alexander sat down with Olena Zelenska to discuss life during wartime and her nation's future. She has a message for the American people on the day she addressed Congress with a plea not to forget her nation's struggles during war.
5 months into this war, do you worry that the world is moving on beyond the war in Ukraine?
I feel that the entire world is supporting us, but it is very important for us that this support doesn't vanish, because every day brings new victims.
First Lady Olena Zelenska told us she particularly worries about the toll this crisis is taking on Ukrainians' mental health.
How do you, as First Lady, show the Ukrainian people that it's okay to ask for help?
It's a sign of your strength to go and ask for support when you need it. It's an act of courage for them to ask for help.
What has been the hardest part of this war for you personally?
What I feel is that my children are in danger, and of course I'm quite concerned about it. Believe me, all our children are in danger nowadays. Their pain is mine, my pain. We need to finish this war as soon as possible.
This trip to the U.S., her first time away from her 18-year-old daughter, Alexandra, and 9-year-old son, Kirilo, since the war began.
What does your son dream of? What does he want to be?
Obviously, he wants to be a soldier.
He wants to be a soldier.
Obviously.
That's what all Ukrainian boys must dream of now.
I think yes.
What does that make you think as a mom?
Знаєте, перед війною мій син... Only thing he wants to do is martial arts and how to use a rifle. And that's what I really want to ensure, is that the childhood of my son is given back to him and that he enjoys his life to the fullest.
Just this week, the White House revealed new intelligence that shows that Russia is moving right now to try to annex parts of eastern Ukraine. Your reaction to that?
You know, we always knew that. Everything they say in their official statement is a complete lie. They always wanted to destroy us, and we always knew about it.
After meeting with the Bidens, who she calls real friends, her message to the American people tonight is simple.
The war is not over yet. It is horrible when you have to say goodbye to your loved ones and to organize funerals in the backyards of your houses. The war continues. Please don't forget about it.
Her country's powerful plea. Peter Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
Next to former prominent South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh's appearance in court today on murder charges, accused of killing his wife and son. Murdaugh pleaded not guilty. He was denied bail as prosecutors cite a mountain of evidence against him. NBC's Vaughn Hilliard has the dramatic day in court.
Tonight, disbarred attorney Alex Murdaugh again on the wrong side of the courtroom.
Are you guilty or not guilty of the felonies wherein you stand indicted?
Not guilty. This time, battling his most serious accusation to date, charges of murdering his wife and one of his sons. The indictments allege he used 2 different weapons on 52-year-old Maggie Murdaugh and 22-year-old Paul Murdaugh, a rifle and a shotgun, respectively. The shootings happened June 7th, 2021. Murdaugh calling 911 that day, saying he found them dead at the family's hunting property.
My wife and my son.
Are they in a vehicle?
No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennel.
Murdaugh facing these charges now more than a year after the killings. 2 sources close to the investigation tell NBC News authorities have cell phone video they believe puts Murdaugh at the scene of the slayings shortly before they took place, and also contradicts a previous timeline of events.
The evidence in this case is substantial, and it all points back to Alex Murdaugh. There's forensic evidence, as well as all other evidence of his guilt of these murders.
Murdaugh's attorney made additional motions that no facts in the state's evidence be shared in court during the hearing. both sides requesting a gag order to keep following motions sealed, citing the media attention the case has received.
We think continues to run the risk of polluting the jury pool.
Prosecutors say Murdaugh's web of alleged crimes extends to drug trafficking, money laundering, criminal conspiracy, and narcotics and more, that they allege point to Murdaugh's motive to murder.
All of the 81 allegations of white-collar fraud and other crimes, drugs and the like that's been gathered against Mr. Murdaugh over the course of that long investigation. A lot of that provides the background and the motive for what happened on June 7th, 2021.
Murdaugh's attorneys have previously admitted some wrongdoing.
Look, he's reconciled to the fact he's going to prison,
but have strongly denied he had a role in his family's deaths.
When the police show up and they find a dead wife and a dead son and the husband finds them, you know, most times it's going to turn out to be that the husband was involved. And that, unfortunately, is the assumption SLED made that night. And a number of missteps since then in investigating the case because they keep trying to pound that square peg into the round hole.
Murdaugh's lawyer today contending that Murdaugh had no motive for their killings and saying Murdaugh thinks the killer is still at large, but Murdaugh was denied bond. It's just the latest development in a slew of alleged criminal behavior and mysterious deaths surrounding his family. A hit and run, a fatal boating accident, a dead housekeeper whose family says they initially did not get a settlement payout, and Murdaugh himself alleged to have been shot during a foiled hitman for hire plot, now heading into a murder trial.
Vaughn Hilliard joins us now. Vaughn, so Murdaugh's lawyer is pushing for a speedy trial. What exactly would that look like in this case?
Yeah, Savannah, the defense attorney for Murdaugh said that they want this trial to take place within the next 3 to 4 months, to have a jury in the jury box. Number one, because they say that Murdaugh is innocent, and they want the search for, in their words, a true killer to intensify. But then the prosecution, they said that they agree. They told the judge that they want this to also be a speedy trial within these next couple months for a jury to be sat, because they say that all the evidence that they have points to Murdaugh as being the killer. The judge did not make a determination of when this trial will begin, but said that he will look at what the docket looks like here in these months ahead, and we'll get back to them. Savannah?
All right, Vaughn Hilliard, fascinating. We know you'll stay on it. Thank you. And turning now to the high-profile legal showdown between Elon Musk and Twitter. The social media platform won a bid for an expedited trial against the billionaire, and it's now set to start in October instead of Musk's desired start date next year. And the judge said it should last just 5 days. Twitter is seeking to force the Tesla CEO to close his $44 billion acquisition of the company. For more on the two tech giants courtroom showdown, we are joined by NBC legal analyst Danny Savalas. Danny, good to have you with us. I'm sorry for you that I'm asking you questions now morning and night, but we're happy to have you here to break this down for us. So let's just start with both of their arguments. So Twitter's saying, you said you were going to buy it, we've been operating as such, but then Elon Musk is saying, I didn't realize the situation with bots and spam accounts is as bad as it is. What do you make of both of those sides?
Yeah, Elon Musk's argument is essentially, I went to buy a product and, oh no, the product isn't what I thought it was. So I'm exercising my right to back out. I mean, really, as complicated and as much money as is involved, this is really more akin to a simple buying a car or buying a house, kicking the tires and saying, hey, this product is not what I thought it was. Now, on the other hand, Twitter's saying, hey, all of this is a pretext. You're just coming up with problems, little ticky-tack issues. You said you were going to clean up the bots, and now you're saying there are too many bots, or that we're not giving you enough information. And every time we turn around, you're essentially asking us for more and declaring breach. And that's the beauty of contract law. It really is, breach is in the eye of the beholder. Elon Musk says no way, and Twitter says, no, we think so. So I think also a strategy for Elon Musk was bringing Twitter into court and getting into discovery, getting at their secrets that he probably thought he would get to. That may not happen now that this is on an expedited trial schedule.
I believe when we were talking before this, you called contract law fun, which is why it's so special to us here, Danny.
It is.
Okay, Danny, so it sounds reasonable enough, walk me through this, that Elon, who we all know has had this issue with bots, which is sort of ironic, but he's been very vocal about it, of course, on the platform itself. So if he says, hey, I've uncovered more and you know, there's just not as many active users, it's not as valuable, we're not reaching as many people as I thought we were, is that legitimate? Could he win with that?
Yes. I mean, that is a valid argument under contract law. If you say that, hey, I contracted to buy X, and when I showed up, it was Y. In other words, the product was not what you sold to me. But, you know, often in contract law, something slightly different but looks similar happens, which is, hey, I contracted to buy X, but I don't like X so much anymore. And, you know, somebody selling, like Twitter, is saying, no, the product is still what it was when you bought it. So we are going to go to court to force you to buy it. By the way, that's a fascinating element of this, is that in most cases in contract law, the default rule is what's called money damages or legal damages. In other words, the courts say, hey, we don't want to try and figure out all these complexities. You just give him money or you give him money. Now, in this case, the contract calls for what's called specific performance. That means a court may order Elon to buy Twitter, to go through with the deal. Now, what kind of catastrophic effect that would have, I don't think we'll ever find out, because really that's just leverage. If a judge ultimately orders, or a court orders Elon to buy Twitter, that's really just a new bargaining chip for Twitter to force Elon to do something, either pay them money, or maybe Elon ultimately wants Twitter at a discount. That's what contract law is all about. Everybody's rattling their saber, and at the end of the day, maybe everybody gets to a real number, a dollar amount that they like.
You're convincing me a little that it's a little bit fun. Okay, let's talk about how this is being. It's just why you're good. That's why it's your job.
I'm an advocate. For who? I have no idea. I don't know.
Well, we're going to get there at the end of this. So this has been expedited. The judge says, no, this is happening in October, not in February when Elon wanted it. He wanted it then because he wanted an investigation into the bots, into the spam accounts. But the judge says, no, this is too catastrophic for Twitter right now. Why is that, and why'd she side with them?
Because a couple of reasons. And one of the reasons, you need to understand that in Delaware, most folks don't realize this. Most giant corporations are incorporated in Delaware. Delaware has this niche existence as the home state for almost every major corporation. And for that reason, the Delaware courts are like fine-tuned machines for handling corporate litigation. So I would think a court maybe in Iowa would be terrified at trying this case in 5 days. But believe me, this judge and this court, Delaware Chancery Court, is built to handle large corporations and their disputes. And the judge recognizes that the longer this drags out, the bigger problems, not just for Twitter, but their stockholders, people who invest in Twitter, the business, the business of Twitter as it is, are at risk. So the judge is expediting this, getting it wrapped up as quickly as possible, which is the best outcome for the industry and the corporation.
One-word answer. Which side would you argue, Twitter or Musk?
Which I would rather be arguing Twitter's, but only barely. I mean, Vegas odds are like 51%.
Danny Savelis, I concede this was fun.
It's always fun. I'll see you tomorrow morning, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Danny. All right, still ahead tonight, police chase on horseback, how an NYPD officer and his police horse tracked down an alleged thief in Times Square. Plus, a family's accusations of racism against the Sesame Place theme park, the story behind that viral video, and the mystery of a family that disappeared during a camping trip. What we know about their last sighting more than 100 miles from their home. Stay with us. Tonight, the search for a missing Maine toddler and her parents is intensifying. The trio vanished a month ago, and their last known sighting was captured on surveillance cameras more than 100 miles from their home. George Solis has the latest on the investigation.
Authorities in a desperate search for this family. This is the last known sighting of a missing couple from Maine and their toddler. These surveillance images taken from Walmart security cameras on July 2nd. Authorities say Nicholas Hansen, Jill Sidebotham, and 2-year-old Lydia Hansen were last seen by family members on June 27th in their hometown of Sanford, Maine. The family says, out of the blue, Nicholas Hansen arrived at the home to take the pair camping. Soon after, the family lost all contact. Rare for Sidebotham, who was also mother to a 10-year-old boy.
I'm not sure if maybe, we misunderstood something when she said she'd be back at that time, but I don't think that she would pull this.
In the days before they were reported missing, the trio was also recorded on surveillance video at the Coos Canyon Campground in Byron, Maine, more than 100 miles from their home. Days later, about 15 miles from the campground, the trio was spotted at a checkout at the Mexico, Maine Walmart. Sidebotham's family says the parents were no longer romantically involved, and they are now in fear for their daughter and grandchild.
Oh, I was worried as soon as my wife told me what they were doing, but I didn't think this would happen. I mean, I just I hate to say it, but I don't trust the guy. There have been past issues with him.
Police have not named Hansen or anyone as a suspect or person of interest in their investigation. In an interview with our main NBC affiliate, Hansen's sister said the years have not been kind to her brother. Kelly Hansen alleged erratic behavior fueled by alcohol use and prior trauma.
This isn't Nick, and it kills me to know that he's changed, and my niece, God forbid, is suffering because of this.
She also noted her brother had recently quit his job after finding out he'd lost custody of 2 of his other children from a previous relationship.
I'm worried. I'm worried that something bad happened. I'm worried that Nick snapped and did something stupid. I'm worried that Jill could have snapped and did something stupid.
Sanford police are now working with neighboring states for any leads. Police have said none of the images they've seen have raised any immediate fears for their well-being, but are nonetheless determined to find them. Tonight, both families crushed under the weight of so much unknown.
It's eating away at my head and my stomach and my wife's stomach and her head. And
I worry every day that nothing but the worst has happened at this point.
And George Solis joins us now in studio. So, George, what is the latest here on the investigation? Any tips, any leads?
Yeah, Savannah, Sanford police continue investigating all leads that come into this case. They are working with local, state, and federal partners, going over every area this group has been seen with a fine-tooth comb, and that includes some aerial searches, too. And right now, they are just asking anyone with information, anyone that may have seen this family, to come forward.
Oh, absolutely a bizarre one. All right, George, thank you so much. And coming up next, the warship going down off the coast of Hawaii, the new video of the joint naval exercise, and why the countries wanted the ship to sink. We're back now with Top Stories newsfeed, and we begin with an NYPD officer who is now being called a hero for chasing down a suspect in Times Square. In the body cam video, you see the officer confront the alleged thief, then take off after him on, get this, horseback. The suspect was arrested and charged with robbery, menacing, and criminal possession of a weapon. The Department of Defense released video of a warship being sunk by a missile off the coast of Hawaii. The retired ship was part of an exercise with military forces from Australia, Canada, and Malaysia about 50 miles north of Kauai to test battle capabilities. Mourners gathered in New York City today for the funeral of Ivana Trump. The ex-wife of former President Trump died suddenly last week after falling down the stairs in her Upper East Side townhouse. Her children eulogized her as a trailblazing businesswoman with a heart of gold. She was 73 years old. And LA County officially transferred the deed of beachfront property back to the descendants of Charles and Willa Bruce. The couple had purchased the site in 1912 as a beach resort for Black residents, but the city of Manhattan Beach seized the property 12 years later. Now the family will lease the land back to the county for $413,000 a year. And now turning to money talks, what consumers and investors need to know from the business world and beyond. Home prices set another record in June, that as the National Association of Realtors is reporting that home sales are down more than 5% since last month and 14% since last year. It's all part of a confusing and quick turnaround in the once red-hot housing market. CNBC's senior real estate correspondent Diana Olick has more.
Empty nesters Alan Manus and his wife thought about putting their Bethesda, Maryland home on the market last fall, but they couldn't find anything to buy, so they waited until June.
If we had put the house on the market, say May 10th, we probably would have already sold the house.
He said they didn't miss the boat exactly, but
it's not going to be a bidding frenzy where you list a house at a certain price and then you get 5 bids that are over that price. We're not going to see that kind of market, I don't think, anytime soon.
Because the market has changed markedly. Fast rising mortgage rates, overheated home prices, and growing concern over inflation in the economy have all caused buyers to leap back pretty suddenly.
I literally felt the rumbling in the ground.
Real estate agent Joan Wolfe is in her 5th decade in the business, so she knows what's coming, but she's not worried this time.
I've lived this market before. There are comforts in this market that are different from the crash of 07, 08, 09-ish, in that the lenders have become much more stringent. That has mitigated foreclosures. So now you won't see fire sales that will drag down prices.
Prices are still up over 13% from a year ago, even though the supply of homes for sale is finally increasing. That increased competition from sellers prompted Manus to drop his $1.5 million asking price by $100,000 after the first week. And he's encouraging buyers not to worry about offending him.
I guess what I would say to any potential buyer, don't be hamstrung or limited by saying, oh, I couldn't conceivably make a bid that's more than 5% below the asking price. Go ahead and make a bid.
CNBC's Diana Olick joins us now. Diana, you mentioned in your piece there how the average home price keeps climbing as sales fall. What is driving that?
Well, I hate to be boring, but it's simple supply and demand. There is still strong demand in this market. You have millennials and Gen Z behind them coming in wanting to buy houses. Affordability is weaker, so that's slowing down sales. But that demand is still coming up against very low supply in the market, and that keeps prices elevated, Savannah.
Yeah, so I mean, it sort of sounds like, unfortunately, bad news all around for people either looking to sell or buy. Are there any bright spots?
Well, one bright spot in the Realtors report this morning on monthly home sales was that they are starting to see that supply lift a little bit. That is, more homes are staying on the market longer. They're also seeing more sellers try to get in because some sellers may feel like they're getting the last of the red hot market. So we did see supply increase year over year for the first time in 3 years. Is it enough? Absolutely not. But it's a bright spot, and it definitely means that for buyers out there anyway, the market's going to be a little less competitive. For sellers, however, that's just the opposite.
Well, thank you for a little bit of good news. Thanks, Diana Olick. And now an NBC News Investigates exclusive. Government investigators are using forged documents to buy enough radioactive material to build a dirty bomb, all in an effort to expose security vulnerabilities. Stephanie Gosk has the details.
In April 2019, the FBI surrounded Jared Atkins' Phoenix home in a tense 2-hour standoff. Inside, he had 3 stolen radioactive devices, enough to make a deadly dirty bomb. Atkins is serving 15 years in a federal prison. Now the Government Accountability Office says bad actors don't need to steal radioactive material. They can just buy it. It's material typically used in technological devices for medical, industrial, and research purposes. But the GAO warns, in the hands of terrorists, even a small amount could be used to construct a dirty bomb.
The GAO now telling us that pretty much anybody can get the materials to create a radiological bomb is extremely scary, and I think we need to take immediate action.
In a report exclusively obtained by NBC News, the GAO concludes security measures in place today do not adequately protect against the purchase of high-risk radioactive materials. Using forged licenses, GAO investigators purchased 2 quantities of radioactive material from 2 different U.S. businesses, enough to potentially cause hundreds of deaths from evacuations and billions of dollars of socioeconomic effects.
Radioactive materials are controlled by the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Specific security measures are triggered if someone buys large quantities. The investigators bought less than that, but the GAO is pushing for stricter controls for even smaller amounts.
Citing in part an accident with radioactive material at the University of Washington in May 2019. It took 2 years to clean up and cost $156 million. According to the report, national security officials tell the GAO there is increasing interest among terrorists and other bad actors to get a dirty bomb.
Actual terrorist groups, including neo-Nazi groups in the United States, are trying to obtain a dirty bomb to launch actual attacks.
In a statement to NBC News, the NRC says it is taking actions, including immediately communicating with the manufacturers of these radioactive sources and expediting a rule change to verify purchasing licenses. The NRC says the threat does not warrant an immediate change. The authors of the report disagree. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News.
Now to top stories global watch and a deadly airstrike that killed at least 8 tourists in northern Iraq. It happened in a popular resort area. Video shows people running for cover as explosions can be heard in the distance. At least 4 missiles hit. 3 women and 2 children, including a 1-year-old baby, are among those killed. Across Europe, the record heat wave is still fueling massive wildfires. Dramatic new video from Greece shows firefighters battling a blaze near Athens under a bright orange sky. Hundreds of people have been forced to evacuate the area. And in Spain, the military worked through the night to put out multiple house fires. Those infernos and the dangerously high temperatures have caused more than 1,100 deaths in Spain and Portugal alone. And in Israel, a drone captured a stunning scene off the country's northern coast. These tiny white dots you're seeing there, those are actually millions of tiny jellyfish. The swarm has been drifting closer and closer to the port of Haifa. Israel's Nature and Parks Authority says pollution and digging in the Suez Canal could be to blame. Now, those jellyfish can sting swimmers, but they're not lethal. And now turning back to the war in Ukraine, deaf and hard of hearing Ukrainians face unique challenges in war. They're unable to hear the bombs, gunshots, and those sirens around them. One nonprofit is making it their mission to help them escape. Ellison Barber has their story.
Imagine trying to survive a war, but when the rockets fall, you don't hear them. In Kharkiv, missiles landed within 6 miles of the Tokarev's home.
Our daughter is hearing and she would come to us crying. We didn't want her to live in fear.
Help came from a team with off-the-grid mission. A nonprofit focused on helping deaf and hard of hearing people in disasters around the world. Everyone who works with them is deaf, hard of hearing, or in the case of many translators, CODAs, children of deaf adults. Angela Maria Nardillo is the founder.
We are a BIPOC woman-founded organization. We've always focused on marginalized communities, and that's within the deaf community. The reason I founded Off the Grid is because deaf people, they're the first ones to get cut off from information when there's disaster, and they're the last to get the help.
Artis and Emils are part of her team, and when the Tokarev family needed help, they went.
They didn't have a vehicle to get out, so we went there and got them out.
For those who are deaf or hard of hearing, the challenges of life in a war-torn country are multifaceted.
They don't hear the yells to go, or if they're told to go, they know if they go and there's gunfire, they're not going to hear, and they're going to be the first one targeted.
Off-the-grid teams are constantly delivering resources for those who stay.
This is our lights, our solar lights.
Bomb shelters, a vital refuge for so many Ukrainians, are usually dark.
People don't see deaf people. They don't know that when the lights go out, then communication is lost for deaf people. We rely on light. We rely on each other a lot.
But with off-the-grid missions on the ground, deaf people are not only seen, they have friends determined to help them live even in the worst circumstances.
So my sign needs some more practice, but I will try to teach you one sign. Ready? Again, off the grid. Savannah?
Back now on Top Story, we're taking a look at growing outrage with the theme park Sesame Place. A string of now viral videos show characters at the park seemingly ignoring Black children. One family spoke out today. NBC's Stephen Romo has the story.
Tonight, Sesame Place under fire for viral videos showing multiple characters apparently ignoring Black children in the theme park. One mother speaking out after she says her daughter and niece were snubbed because of the color of their skin.
I was sad, I was pissed, and immediately just go into defense mode, because the first thing as a parent is you want to defend your child and you want to protect their innocence.
She says the character engaged with white visitors before and after this moment that has taken off across social media. The girl's family and their attorney gathered outside of the Sesame Workshop in New York City today, demanding accountability from the amusement park run by SeaWorld.
For little children, they should not have to experience such hurt and embarrassment from a character who's supposed to bring joy. Who knows what trigger points this might have for them for the future.
Sesame Place originally issued a statement in response to the video saying that the performer portraying the Rosita character has confirmed that the no hand gesture seen several times in this video was not directed to any specific person. Rather, it was a response to multiple requests from someone in the crowd who asked Rosita to hold their child for a photo, which is not permitted. The Rosita performer did not intentionally ignore the girls and is devastated by the misunderstanding. One activist called the statement a slap in the face. After more backlash, the park released a new statement apologizing and adding, quote, "We know that it's not okay. We are taking actions to do better. We are committed to making this right. We will conduct training for our employees so they better understand, recognize, and deliver an inclusive, equitable, and entertaining experience to our guests.
Why do you need bias training if the acts were not intentional?
The Rosita costume is also seen in this video walking past a little girl with outstretched arms. The person who posted it saying, quote, "Now, I'm not saying Rosita is racist, but whoever is under this/those masks sure is curving a bunch of brown kids." Also calling to, quote, "investigate this pattern. We don't know what happened before or after this video was taken."
We've come to learn that what took place Saturday is not an anomaly. I know our black girls are magic, but I didn't know that they were invisible.
A number of other videos have been circulating online, including this one, which appears to show Bert softly slapping a 10-year-old black girl in the face. NBC Philadelphia reporting the girl's family says Sesame Place took a report and pledged an investigation would be completed, but they never heard back. We asked Sesame Place about this incident and the investigation, but have also not heard back.
You should be careful about where you spend your dollars and how your children are exposed.
Mallory said she's disappointed with the character's behavior, especially since Sesame Street was created to build up the self-worth of black children through representation of positive black images.
And Stephen Romo joins us now in the studio. That last message is true. I mean, that's what Sesame Street's all about, is inclusivity. It's clear people are not happy with their response. What do they want to see?
Well, they're asking for the firing of that performer, for one thing. They're also asking for an apology and possibly even retraining. They said they wanted to avoid a lawsuit. But I spoke with a law professor with the University of Miami School of Law today, Professor Donald Jones. He was saying that proving a discrimination case, you need evidence. And he says there seems to be a lot of evidence. Something like a video is what it would require. He says instead of a lawsuit, though, he would first go to something like deposing the people involved, investigating to find out more of what happened, because he says the country has a history of racism in many areas, including discrimination at theme parks. So he says that more needs to be done, and there are mechanisms in place to try to correct it.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see that. Stephen Romo, thank you so much. And when we come back tonight, we'll end on a happy note. The convertible that just hit the road that you'll have to see to believe. The classic child's toy getting a brand new twist. The transformation more than 80 years in the making. Stay with us. Finally tonight, the story of a Minnesota man who loved a childhood toy so much, he decided to turn it into a full-size ride. CARE's Boyd Hoopert has the story.
The Red River Valley Sugar Beet Museum.
When he helped found the Sugar Beet Museum in Crookston.
This is a beet harvester.
Alan Dragseth filled the floor with the farm equipment.
I'm a saver.
With which he grew up.
My dad had 3 like this.
From big.
This is my original.
To little.
Radio flyer wagon.
Not exactly an agricultural implement? Think again.
It's a picture of me and about 80 years ago by my wagon. You can see my mother is written on the bottom, Alan hauling hay.
That same wagon.
I welded,
sandblasted, and painstakingly restored.
Pieces onto the bottom to cover up the holes. And
it's hard to imagine a larger tribute to an 83-year-old's cherished childhood toy.
Yep.
But Alan.
This is my car.
Has one.
Well, you don't see many of these.
Inspired by childhood memories and a YouTube video, Alan bought a $300 junkyard convertible.
About 3 months to get it all finished.
Plenty of retirees have purchased convertibles to make themselves feel younger. That.
Well, I don't know.
Times 10.
Just riding in a radio flyer wagon makes me feel younger.
Isn't that car a classic, just like Al?
Scott Mabes owns the local hardware store.
Not too many people can think out of the box like that one.
Scott's little red wagons.
Right in the window here.
Are in the box.
We love when he comes by and visits us.
As a child, Alan Dragseth hand-built those wooden sides so he could haul more hay. 8 decades later, he's still wagon master.
I'm kind of a kid at heart.
Okay, come on, you gotta love him. Our thanks to Boyd and CARE, and thanks so much for watching Top Story. I'm Savannah Sellers for Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news now on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.